It is July 8th, 2014, Varna Airport, Bulgaria. Morning light spills across the terminal floor. Tourists drag suitcases towards departure gates. Flight announcements echo overhead in 3 different languages. And through the crowd walks a young German man in a bright yellow t-shirt. He carries a backpack over one shoulder, a duffel bag in his hand. For a moment, he looks completely ordinary. Just another tourist heading home from the Black Sea coast. Then something changes. Something sudden. Something invisible. The man freezes. His eyes lock onto the doorway of the airport medical office, and in an instant, terror floods his face. Not confusion, not panic, pure animal fear. He drops his bags, his passport, his wallet, his phone, everything that proves who he is. Then he runs. He bolts through the terminal with the desperation of someone escaping a fire, past the check-in counters, past stunned travelers turning too slowly to understand what they are watching. The automatic door slides open. Heat crashes into him, and Lars Mittank disappears into the Bulgarian sun. The footage lasts less than a minute, but people have spent the last 12 years trying to explain it. Because Lars does not simply flee the airport. He scales an 8-foot fence topped with barbed wire, drops into a field of towering sunflowers, and vanishes. No confirmed sightings, no body, no trace, just a single unanswered question. What was he running from? The answer begins a week earlier at a resort town on the Black Sea coast called Golden Sands, 18 kilometers north of Varna. A place built for tourists, cheap alcohol, all-inclusive hotels, neon-lit clubs that stay awake until sunrise. In the summer of 2014, thousands of young Europeans flooded the coastline searching for heat, freedom, and a week without consequences. Lars Mittank was one of them. He was 28 years old, originally from Berlin, but raised in the quiet northern German town of Itzehoe. He worked as a precision mechanic at a power plant. Stable job, long-term girlfriend, close friends, reliable routines. A few years earlier, Lars's father suffered a stroke, and while some people might have drifted away from those responsibilities, Lars moved closer to them. On his days off, he drove nearly 100 miles home just to help his mother care for him. Friends described him the same way over and over again. Calm, dependable, grounded, not reckless, not unstable, not the kind of person who vanishes into another country without a word. He also loved football, especially SV Werder Bremen. That mattered more than it should have, because football rivalries in Europe can turn tribal very quickly. And 3 days before Lars disappeared into a Bulgarian sunflower field, that rivalry may have changed everything. For the first few days, the vacation feels normal. Perfect even. The temperature hovers near 100 degrees. Lars and his friends swim during the day, drink through the night, move between crowded beach bars beneath flashing neon lights and bass-heavy music. Nothing feels wrong, at least not yet. But later his friends would remember a detail that suddenly seems strange in hindsight. Lars barely eats. While everyone else loads plates at the resort buffet, Lars picks at soup, fruit, and side dishes. At the time, nobody thinks much of it. Maybe the heat killed his appetite. Maybe he just wasn't hungry. But hindsight has a way of turning ordinary details into ominous ones. July 5th, the Rock Bar. The World Cup plays overhead. Costa Rica versus the Netherlands. The bar is crowded with German tourists. Some support Bayern Munich. Others support Werder Bremen. The insults begin as jokes, then stop sounding like jokes. Witnesses later describe shouting, aggression, a confrontation that nearly becomes physical before friends separate the groups. For a while, the tension fades. Then the night ends. Around 4 in the morning, Lars and his friends leave for a nearby McDonald's. Lars says he isn't hungry. He waits outside while the others go in to order food. 10 minutes pass, maybe 15. When his friends return outside, Lars is gone. At first, nobody panics. Maybe he wandered off. Maybe he met someone. Maybe he walked back to the hotel. But when they return to their rooms, Lars isn't there. Hours later, he finally reappears, and something about him is different. He looks shaken, exhausted. His left ear is throbbing with pain. Then he tells them what happened. He says 4 men attacked him outside the McDonald's, Bulgarians or Russians. He believes they were connected to the Bayern Munich fans from the bar. According to Lars, one of them punched him hard in the side of the head, hard enough to rupture his eardrum. His friends are skeptical. There's no blood, no visible bruising, but Lars is adamant, and the pain in his ear is very real. The next day, Lars visits a local doctor. The diagnosis is immediate: a ruptured eardrum, and a warning: do not fly. The pressure changes inside an airplane cabin could permanently damage his hearing. As a precision mechanic, Lars depends on that hearing for his livelihood. So his friends offer to stay behind with him. Lars refuses. He insists they go home without him. He says he will rest for a few days, let the injury heal, then catch a later flight. Reluctantly, they leave for the airport, and Lars becomes completely alone in a foreign country. Outside the resort district, Bulgaria feels very different. The music disappears. The beaches disappear. The vacation atmosphere evaporates. Lars takes a taxi to a hospital in Varna for a second opinion. The specialist confirms the ruptured eardrum, possibly surgery. Lars refuses. He only wants medication and a flight home. The doctor prescribes an antibiotic, cefuroxime, a name Lars has never heard before, a name he will soon text repeatedly to his mother in panic. Now he needs a place to stay, but it's peak tourist season. Hotels near the coast are packed. So Lars tells a taxi driver to take him anywhere with an available room. The driver takes him to Hotel Color. Cheap. Run down. Located near the airport in a rough industrial area later described by investigators as sketchy and crime-ridden. The hotel costs $25 a night. The kind of place travelers stay only because they have no better option. The clerk behind the counter takes Lars's credit card, then feeds it into a photocopier. Lars notices immediately. Something about it alarms him, deeply. He takes his room key and heads upstairs. The building is thin-walled and echoing. Footsteps carry through the corridors. Voices bleed through the walls. Outside, traffic hisses through the dark streets of Varna. Somewhere in the city, tourists are still drinking and laughing. But to Lars, something has changed. Around 11 that night, Lars calls his mother in Germany. His voice is barely above a whisper. Cancel my bank cards. Sandra is confused. Why? Lars says the hotel is unsafe. He says the clerk copied his credit card. He says there is something wrong with this place. There is fear in his voice now. Real fear. Sandra immediately contacts the bank and freezes the cards. Just after midnight, the hotel security cameras capture Lars wandering the hallways. He paces nervously, peers through windows, rides the elevator without pressing a button, as if hiding inside the metal box feels safer than standing still. At 1 a.m, he leaves the hotel entirely. For nearly an hour, nobody knows where he goes, or what he sees, or who he believes is following him through the streets of Varna. At 3 a.m, Sandra's phone rings again. This time, the whisper is gone. Now there's only panic. They're following me. Lars tells his mother 4 men are chasing him. He says he is hiding somewhere high above the ground, on a ledge. He says he is afraid he might fall. Sandra later says she could hear his heart pounding through the phone. Then Lars asks a strange question. What is cefuroxime? A few minutes later, he texted again. What is cefuroxime? Sandra does not know what to do. She is terrified that calling him back might reveal his location if someone truly is hunting him. So instead, she books him a bus ticket, then a flight home later that afternoon, and waits for sunrise. At 5 a.m, a taxi driver near Varna Airport spots a young man frantically waving beside the road. It is Lars. The driver already has another passenger inside, but he pulls over anyway. Both passengers later describe Lars the same way, terrified. His pupils are massively dilated, his body trembling with adrenaline, as though he has spent the entire night running from something or someone. The taxi reaches Varna Airport around 6 in the morning. Lars calls Sandra one last time. His phone battery is dying, but for the first time in hours, he sounds calmer, focused, logical. He explains how to send him money through Western Union because his bank cards are frozen. And this matters, because despite everything, Lars is still coherent enough to seek out another German traveler in the terminal, ask for advice, then calmly relay detailed instructions to his mother. Sandra wires the money. Lars never collects it. The airport doctor examined Lars's ear. His temperature is normal. The injury appears stable. He can fly home if he signs a liability waiver. But Lars hesitates. Something still feels wrong to him. He refuses medication, refuses paperwork, refuses to relax. The appointment drags on for 42 minutes. Then the door opens. The airport was under renovation that summer. Construction crews moved constantly through the terminal. Workers in reflective uniforms, power tools screaming in the distance. To everyone else, the man entering the room was invisible, just another worker. But the moment Lars sees him, something inside him collapses. I don't want to die here. The words explode out of him. I have to get out. He leaps from the chair, drops his bags, and runs. The viral clips online usually stop there, but Lars Mittank later viewed the longer security footage herself, and what she saw was even stranger. Outside the terminal, Lars does not immediately keep running. He stops, checks his pockets, realizes he left everything behind. Then he looks down the road. 2 police cars sit nearby, and instead of running towards them for help, Lars hides from them. He ducks behind a parked bus, uses it as cover. When the bus pulls away, Lars breaks into another sprint, towards a pile of construction sand near the airport perimeter. Then the fence, 8 feet tall, barbed wire at the top. Lars climbs it effortlessly, drops down the other side, and disappears into a massive field of sunflowers swaying beneath the July heat. The cameras lose him there. The last confirmed image of Lars Mittank alive, a yellow shirt vanishing into endless yellow flowers. The search begins immediately. Police comb the field surrounding the airport. Search dogs pick up Lars's scent. The trail leads towards the nearby highway, and then it stops, completely, as though Lars simply ceased to exist. Thermal drones searched the forest. Nothing. Hospitals. Nothing. Homeless shelters. Nothing. Morgues. Nothing. Sandra hires a private investigator named Andreas Gutig. He checks every lead, every rumor, every unidentified body. Nothing. Eventually, the family grows desperate enough to drive through the forest, blasting Sandra's voice through loudspeakers. Lars, it's Mom. Please come to the road. Her voice echoes through the trees. No one answers. And that's where the mystery truly begins. Because somehow, a healthy 28-year-old man vanished from Europe in broad daylight, without money, without identification, without a passport, without a single confirmed trace. So what happened to Lars Mittank? Some believe the answer lies in the medication, cefuroxime. In extremely rare cases, antibiotics in the same drug family have been linked to acute psychosis, paranoia, hallucinations, panic attacks. Investigators later discovered Lars had only taken a few pills, probably not enough to trigger a catastrophic reaction, but the possibility never fully disappeared, because by the final hours of his trip, Lars genuinely seemed terrified of the world around him. Others believe the real cause was the punch. A head injury does not always reveal itself immediately. Sometimes the damage unfolds slowly, pressure building silently inside the skull, a concussion becoming something worse. Doctors later suggested the blow to Lars's head may have triggered paranoia, confusion, or a severe psychological break. By the time he reached the airport, he may not have fully understood what was happening to him anymore, only that he needed to escape. Then there is the possibility of first-break psychosis. Lars was 28 years old, exactly within the age range where severe mental illness can suddenly emerge in men with no previous warning signs. Isolation, stress, fear, physical trauma, sleep deprivation, a foreign country, Sometimes the human mind fractures all at once, and the ghosts chasing Lars through Varna were never real at all. But there is one final theory, the one that keeps this case alive online. What if Lars was telling the truth? What if someone really was following him? After all, he had already been assaulted once. He stayed in a sketchy hotel. The clerk copied his bank card. He repeatedly described 4 men chasing him through the city, and when he escaped the airport, he avoided the police instead of running toward them, as if he believed they could not protect him, or worse, as if he believed they were connected somehow. If the threat was real, then Lars did exactly what any terrified human being would do. He ran. But if someone truly hunted him into those sunflower fields, where's the evidence? Where is the body? And why has nobody ever found a trace of him? Years pass. Then the sightings begin. In Brazil, in Germany, on highways, near train stations, inside homeless camps. Because once millions of people have seen your face online, they start seeing you everywhere. But every lead collapses. Every photo turns out to be someone else. And still, Varna Mittank refuses to stop searching. She turns her home into a command center, runs a Facebook page dedicated entirely to finding her son, and over the years, something extraordinary happens. Varna accidentally helps identify 15 other missing people living anonymously across Europe. 15 families receive closure, because she never gave up looking, even though she still cannot find Lars. Today, the airport has been remodeled. The sunflower fields have bloomed and died again and again beneath the Bulgarian summer sun. Tourists still pass through Varna every day without thinking twice about the man who disappeared there. But the footage remains. A young man in a yellow shirt, dropping his bags, running for his life from a threat only he could see. Was it the medication? A brain injury? The sudden collapse of his mind? Or was Lars right from the beginning? Were 4 men really waiting for him outside that airport terminal? We still do not know, and after 12 years, we may never know. Because somewhere beyond those fields, the trail ended. Or maybe it didn't. Turn off the lights. The path ahead is dark, and the woods are deep. Do not walk them alone. Subscribe to stay in the light, or click the video on your screen to wander deeper into the shaded divide. We will be waiting.